The world is gonna blow itself up, man. Hi, I'm Mark, and this is your daily Cornerstone connection. You know, I can remember my dad saying those words as he was convinced the times had gotten so horrible that the world was gonna blow itself up, right? Maybe you feel like that right now, like the times are so bad, the world is gonna blow itself up. You know, a couple of years ago, my dad passed away, and I remember going back to the house that I grew up in and seeing some of those things. And up by the bed that I used to sleep in, I had this wall where we put some of the different like awards and honor roll type of papers. Maybe you keep those for your kids. Well, intermixed in all of that was these things. It was funny. They were called bus participation awards. And I thought about that as an adult, a bus participation award. How desperate must that bus driver have been to make a whole award system that says, as so long as you don't make me want to crash this bus into a tree, you are going to get an award. Just sit down and don't yell and don't stick your head out the window, man. Sometimes life feels like that bus, doesn't it? Where things are so chaotic and out of control that you're like, I just need to get through this without crashing or crash my life into a tree to make it all stop, right? Absolutely. Sometimes you can think, how in the world are we going to get through just to tomorrow? Well, I can imagine that I read something that kind of relates to that. I'm going through different kids in the Bible. And so Genesis, I've gotten through the book of Genesis, cool book. A lot of cool stories in there, right? It ends with the story of Joseph, who because of him, Egypt became one of the most powerful and prosperous countries in the world at that time. And Joseph helped them navigate this worldwide famine and global depression. Well, as Exodus opens up, they've forgotten Joseph who? They've forgotten all about him. And here it picks up in chapter 1, verse 8. It says, there arose a new king over Egypt who did not know Joseph. And he said to his people, behold, the people of Israel are too many and too mighty for us. Let's deal shrewdly with them. And so basically he imposes slavery on all of God's people and the Hebrew people. And going from being this celebrated group of people to a people in slavery, I can imagine how they thought, what is going to happen? And the slavery being so harsh that literally any day could be your last. I remember reading documents from World War II where many of the people in the concentration camps, they would walk into these chambers and they didn't know if they were going to have a shower that day or if there was going to be acid that would be pouring on them, and that would be their last day on earth. People were convinced that Hitler must be the Antichrist, right? Maybe you can look out in the world and you're tempted to think Jesus must be coming like tomorrow, right? The truth is we don't know when Jesus will return. But we are certain that he will return. Well, things were chaotic here in Exodus. And in fact, it got so chaotic for God's people that if they even had a son, that son would be executed. And so this is exactly what happens as we pick up on the story of Moses, because Moses' mother is going to hide him to try to keep him a secret. In chapter 2, verse 2, it says that there was the woman conceived and bore a son, and when she saw that he was a fine child, she hid him for 3 months. Can you imagine that? She saw that he was can you remember if you're a parent out there or a grandparent, can you remember when you first saw your son or daughter, and you were like, this is mine, this is my son, this is my daughter, and all of the emotions and the feelings that went with that. This is a parent's love. This is one of the most special things, right? A parent's love for their child. It's one of the most unbreakable bonds that there probably is here. In verse 3, it says, when she could hide him no longer, right? So she was hiding him so he would not be executed. She took and made a basket, and she put the child in it and placed him on the reeds by the riverbank. This is an act of desperation, right? Have you ever been that, where you will do anything to protect your family, where you'll do anything to protect your child? That's exactly where she is. It's crazy times, but she is going to take risks for the hope of protecting her child. It's an act of desperation. In verse 4, it says, then Moses' sister, and this is their plan. So his sister stands at a distance, right? And then Pharaoh's daughter goes down to bathe, and she sees while she's bathing this basket. Then she has her servant woman take it and bring it to her. She sees the child and the baby crying, and she takes pity on him and says, this is one of the Hebrews' children. And then this whole plan kind of comes, is going to unfold here. But this is a powerful example of that sacrificial love that parents have for their kids, right? Where basically Moses' mom said, for a chance for Moses to have a chance at life, I am willing to even give up the ability to be his mom. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? That's huge, right? And then what happens is that this act of desperation is picked up by one of the daughters of Pharaoh, who then sees the child and takes the child and takes the child in. And then this whole plan kind of unfolds because Moses' mom had a daughter. And so Moses' sister was there and says, hey, I know of a Hebrew woman that will nurse it for you. And so Pharaoh says, go. So the girl went and called to Moses' mom, to the child's mother. And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, take this child and nurse him for me, and I'll give you your wages. Right? Can you imagine? The mom's like, okay. So the woman took the child and nursed him. You see, Moses' mom had influence in his life, even though it was not the life that she would have picked, and times were crazy and things were insane. God had a plan for Moses' life, and Moses' mom was a key part of that because she instilled in him that Moses was a Hebrew, and that stuck with him. And it would stick with him so much that he would commit murder and run and meet God by a burning bush, and there'd be a story of redemption, and Moses would come out and be one of the greatest leaders in the Bible. And Moses would have never got there had not been for the influence of his mom. And, I know right now life probably seems crazy, but I promise you, you have influence in someone's life. So keep doing it. Keep praying for your one, as Pastor Andy has encouraged us. Keep having spiritual conversations. Keep having influence, because you never know. The person you're talking to could be a Moses, right? Absolutely. Keep having influence in people's lives for the kingdom of God. Well, hey, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.